Welcome to Legends in Leadership, brought to you by ISF and the Carrington Group. Legends in Leadership is an inspirational podcast featuring the stories of leaders who are making a difference. Our goal is to inspire you with the stories of leaders who come from humble beginnings, overcome challenges, and ultimately rise up to make a difference in people's lives.
Greetings, friends. This is Dr. Blair Ritchie, and I'm the Executive Director of ISF, the International Student Foundation. And I'm joined on today's podcast with two members of the Carrington Group, Tyler Tallman and Kyle Watkins. Guys, it's Valentine's Day, and I can't tell you how wonderful it is to spend Valentine's Day with you boys.
Oh,
hey,
my
I appreciate
gosh.
that.
Yeah.
I sense there might be a little bit of sarcasm there. What do you think, Kyle?
Should have wore my boots today.
Just grateful for the 10 a.m. start time.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
There
right.
you go. Well, we enjoy this little podcast and launching it out with a little trivia question. And it's kind of goes back to our fascination with stories of leaders who, like us, kind of started from humble beginnings and rose up out of that to make a difference in the world. So, Tyler, what do you got for us today?
You know, I was reflecting on the drive in today how important coffee is in my life.
Oh, boy.
As a jump start to the
Amen.
day. So
Amen.
I think it was, somewhat fitting that the trivia followed that theme. Today's legendary leader, he's a billionaire. He's contemplating a run for the presidency, but he was raised in poverty, growing up in a housing complex on the other side of the tracks. He was a pretty good football player, got a scholarship to the University of Northern Michigan. After graduation, he took a job at Xerox, and shortly after, he took over a coffee shop that, under his leadership, grew from 60 shops to over 16,000 outlets worldwide. His life dream was simply to climb over the fence and achieve what people said was impossible. He resigned in 2018 with a net worth just shy of $3 billion. That's a lot of coffee, boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who is this legendary leader? We'll come back at the close of today's program with that answer.
Can't wait for that. It sounds like another billionaire I've helped along the way.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about this group if they don't know the answer to this
Right.
question. But
Well, a few episodes ago, we had a really fun session where we interviewed ourselves, right? And we had your story, Tyler, along with Jason Smith, your compadre at the Carrington Group. And it was really fun hearing your journey, and especially the introduction you gave us to the family office. And so today we thought we'd just expand a little bit of that because we have another member of the Carrington Group with us, Kyle Watkins, and we didn't get you involved on that one, Kyle. So thanks for coming back and being part of this little podcast. And today we're going to explore a little bit about your leadership journey. So welcome on the other side of the mic today because
Yeah, a little different.
you look good over there.
Hey,
You really do.
Well, as you know, Kyle, one of the things we really enjoy doing is trying to go back to how you became you, and your leadership journey. So tell us a little bit about your story and some of the early influences in your life that helped you along the way and gave you a perspective on leadership.
Oh, yeah, that's where do you start with that? I grew up very humble beginnings, small town in Oklahoma, Choctaw, Oklahoma. So whenever I tell people I'm from Choctaw, Oklahoma, I have to clarify it. It's not the casino. It's not the reservation. There's actually a town. There's 3 Choctaws.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So growing up, real close to my grandfather, veteran of Korea, worked multiple jobs, just provider of the family, the traditional strong, quiet type where he didn't have to say much, but when he spoke, people listened. And whenever I look back on one of the most influential people in my life, it's my grandfather, and all the time that we had, together, him and I'm the only grandson. So, one of the disadvantages about that is 4 or 5 years old, hey, Kyle, you got to have boys. You got to carry on this legacy. It's like, I just want to play some baseball. Like, let's not get too deep into this. But growing up with him was a very, one of the first inspirational leaders to me personally. And then that evolved growing up through athletics. We were, blended family, and everybody was, very competitive in our family. One of 5. So I've got, I'm the oldest on my dad's side. So I've got a little bit of the first kid symptom.
Yeah.
And then when my dad was remarried, I'm the middle. So I've got a little bit of that too. So I don't know if that's a blessing or curse, but it is what it is.
Probably both.
Yeah. So, athletics, growing up in a small town and playing in positions where, you have to be a leader or, the ship is rudderless. So that started to develop it, but where I really started to find some leadership skills or to really start to grow is after high school, went to the Air Force Academy. And so I started off my first year at the prep school.
Right.
So it's on the same campus. Right. It's like redshirt year. So was able to get in there and start playing football up there. And you don't know what you're getting into. I mean, you can go through all the recruitment and you can go up there, you can take trips, you can do all that. But until you're in it, when there's, live bullets, so to speak, flying around, it's a whole different animal. But some of the...
Now, what position did you play football?
So I got recruited up there to play fullback.
Mm-hmm.
Never played that a down in my life. Mm-hmm. So I went up there, and then halfway through the season, I was like, listen here. This is not working. It's not working for you. It's not working for me.
What position did they end up putting you in?
Outside linebacker.
Okay. All right.
So, and then that was a much better fit for me. And so go through the prep school year, and then, you graduate, and you can go to freshman year. And you start, after your second basic training, you think you've got this all figured out, but they continually push your limits. And that's something and maybe this is part of being from a small town. You think you've got it figured out. You're kind of a big fish, or you think you are. Mm-hmm. Then you go up there. I think I'm fairly smart. I think I'm fairly athletic. Mm-hmm. And some of the best in the country are there. And you're like, oh, crap. Mm-hmm. I'm just a guy, So
was that humbling?
Oh, very much. You get humbled on a daily basis up there. So, and then some of the experiences that you have up there, you're forced to you're either going to grow or you're just going to shut down. And I saw that on both sides of the spectrum. So, one of my fears, and people say, "Oh, I'm not scared of anything." That's crap. One of my biggest fears is heights. And I think that started from when I was a kid. We had a 2-story house. My dad would have me hang Christmas lights from the house.
Sure.
And I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried, on a plane or on top of a skyscraper or anything. That's fine. I'm scared of heights where if I fall, this is going to hurt.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's not going to end it. This is going to hurt. So one of the fears I had to face is after your freshman year, you can take 1 or 2 classes. You can take soaring, where they put you up in a glider.
Right.
They unhook you, and you glide that bad boy all the way down and
Absolutely.
land it. Well, I wanted no part of that. The other one was jump. And at the time, I don't know, it still may be, it's the only place in the United States where the first time you jump, it's not static, so you jump, and it's free fall, and it's not tandem. So you're jumping by yourself,
right.
Static. Or not static, free fall.
Somehow, Blair, this is leading to how he ended up being a Sooner. I know where we're headed with this.
Yeah. Yeah. This
is the part that didn't work.
Yes. So you're in a plane, and it's as big as the studio here, plastic door, and you're sitting there on a wooden bench. They go up there, roll it open. Like, yep. Okay. Well, and you can't run and jump out. You got to stand on the ledge.
Yep.
Okay, now jump. And yeah.
So what did you learn from that? So that right there, obviously heights is a huge fear for you. So that experience, whether it was pleasant or not, what do you think that how did that translate into your kind of leadership role now, being able to face that type of fear?
Push your boundaries. You don't know, you think you've got mentally you put limits on yourself, or I can only do this, or this is too much for me. I can't handle that. You don't know what you can't handle until you actually put yourself out there and do more than you think you could. There's no way in hell I thought I could ever do that.
Right.
You get to the ground, you're ready to get up and go again immediately. I thought I could bench press a Volvo by the time I got there from all the adrenaline. So yeah, and making yourself uncomfortable. making yourself uncomfortable, because that's where you're going to grow.
You're a rugby player, so
Yes.
talk a little bit about how you got from the Air Force Academy to Oklahoma, became a rugby player, and there's a lot of things about that game that is fairly uncomfortable.
Quite a bit of the game. Yeah. So I learned, actually, I didn't know anything about rugby until I was at the academy, and learned a little bit, started playing a little bit, and, you know, it's one of those, it's very addictive. I mean, the camaraderie, and everybody tackles, everybody runs. I mean, it's a true team game, and you've got to hold the line. You know, you can't be the weak link. So you have to take responsibility to make sure you are doing the absolute best and absolute everything you can possibly do, so you're not going to let everybody else down on the team. People are depending on you. So I thought I was going to end up flying when I first went up to Air Force, and then that was going to happen. And then again, middle kid maybe syndrome. I wanted to do what I wanted when I wanted, and there was just something out there that I wasn't gonna be able to decide what I did, where I was gonna live, any of that. That just didn't stick well with me. So, if you go to class the first day of your junior year, you're committed to graduating and serving 5 years. Absolutely. So I made it all the way through there, and I was just like, you know, I want to decide my own future. And so transferred back to OU, and I was going to take a year off, kind of get into college life, normal civilian life, and figure all that out, and then maybe start playing rugby. Well, whenever I was in my first basic training at the prep school, again, very blue collar family. My folks had saved a little bit of money, for the 5 of us to for school. Well, got a letter from my folks. Basic training, awesome. Pictures, you could tell, heavy, awesome, fantastic. Need a little morale boost. Well, they had taken my college money savings and spent on a nice Bahama.
Oh no!
Yeah, so here's my folks and my siblings on a banana boat.
Thanking you for
and I'm
going
over
to the
here.
academy.
Yes. So I put my way through school at OU, and did it waiting table. So I walk in first day, I was wearing an Air Force rugby shirt. The guy behind the grill was like, hey, you need to come out to one practice. Come one practice and meet the guys, and see if you like it or not. I don't know, just one. Well, then that night, went to one practice and hung out that night, and now that group of guys are lifelong friends. And I mean, that one chance occurrence completely shifted my the rest of my life, really, because the relationships I've built through rugby have now, translated to the relationships I have now in business.
Yeah, so Kyle was a part of the Oklahoma rugby crew with my brother.
Yep.
And that's actually how Kyle and I met each other, and
Wow.
how he's ended up as a family officer at Carrington Group. So it's interesting how it's come full circle over the last several years. But exciting times for sure.
Yes.
It's interesting. My daughter went to the Air Force Academy, so
I remember you telling me that.
So you're bringing back a lot of memories of that whole idea of we got to tear you down to build you up, which is the military model. And you're right. You sell your soul almost to the military, and they kind of go where you do. So that transition from that, yet your takeaways from that. What would you say the things you're most grateful for your time in the military?
There's a handful, I think. Never ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. That was something, since we were going to graduate and you're an officer, day one, you outrank 2/3 of the military.
Correct.
Which is scary. Because I know, if I'm going to outrank 2/3 of the people, is this really what we want to do? Is this how we built the greatest military? Is it by this? Sure.
Yeah. On the backs of people like you.
Right. Through the leadership training, that was something that they really hammered home. And then something that, and this correlates with rugby, and this correlates with business and family. And this is something that I continually try to strive to do better, is if you cannot lead yourself,
right,
how do you expect other people to follow you? If you can't lead yourself, then how are you going to lead others? And so you can dive off into that 100 different ways, and what's most important about you, and are you and the way that I look at it is, am I, maybe, would I want me as a boss? Would I want me as a significant other? Would I want me as a father? Would I want me, as my family officer, helping me, guide me? Like, is that who I am and who I want to be? And how can I continue to grow and develop those leadership skills and develop myself personally?
Yeah.
So, Kyle, something that's really interesting to me, I know Kyle pretty well. We've got a pretty close relationship. And Kyle, I think, does some things as far as his daily and weekly disciplines that I think are really interesting, and I think could be hugely helpful to other leaders out there. So if you would just kind of quickly walk through just some of your daily disciplines and the things that you focus on, because you were just describing, hey, I got to lead myself first, right? And so I think that's a big part of that. So to talk a little bit about those disciplines and how you feel like that's really led you to really be a high performer and perform at your very best.
I've taken this from a couple different sources and melded my own. I say that, probably not. But beginning with the end in mind, the Covey principle. Right. Where do I want to be spiritually, mentally, relationships with family, physically, health-wise? Where do I want to be? How do I want to grow? If I know where I'm going and where I'm at, I know what I need to do to get there. So then take the Kaizen principle, get 1% better every single day. So how can I get 1% better every day spiritually? Well, you got to spend time in the Word. How am I going to get better mentally, business-wise? Well, you got to do research, leadership books, leadership podcasts. Continue, what are successful people doing to make them successful? Eating right, exercise, all those different things. And track it every single day. And here's maybe one of the biggest things that I've gotten out of, and I stole this from Grant Cardone, is your successes. And it's not, hey, we got this deal done over here or whatever. It's little successes. You've got to stop and pay attention on the little successes you have each and every day, because it's easy to, think of what's going wrong or whatever. But if you can take a step back and say, look at all this. Look at all the stuff that we're doing right.
Yeah, isn't that probably the reason why New Year's resolutions never work?
Yeah.
Because you want instant gratification. So you set these lofty goals with a really poor plan,
right,
and a lack of commitment to that plan, and then you do it kind of halfway, and then you look up and go, well, I didn't lose the 25 pounds I wanted. Well, you've only been doing it for a week.
Right.
And so I think that idea, and I think it's huge, that Kyle talks about is the 1% successes. Because, heck, if you're getting 1% better every day, wow. There's 365 days in a year.
Right.
Then at the end of the year, you're more than 3.5 times better than you were when you started, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's it's really interesting and a great discipline.
So there's something that I've added here recently, because I heard somebody speak at a little family office conference that we had, bring in sister offices and talk, and we had some guy come in and talk a little bit, and actually got a takeaway from it, and I write it down every single day now. And every single day, my target for that day is to give God my best. I got that from you, and you fall short, but if you know what, if you're going to do that, like what kind of impact can you have on others, and how can you help others get where they want to be, and how can you have impact on other people's lives? And so
I love this. This is huge, because investing in ourselves is overlooked by so many people.
Yes.
We just don't invest in ourselves enough. But when you talk about getting 1% better every day, what would you say is the key to that? What's the one thing or two things that you have to do every day to improve by 1%?
You got to know what's truly important to you. And, well, that is the foundation. And two, you got to enjoy the process. I mean, if you want to get in shape, or if you want to whatever it is, you've got to lay down a path that you can say, hey, it's sustainable. It's just one of those smart goals. But you got to enjoy the process. If you want to, grow your business, well, you're going to have to invest yourself. You're going to have to sacrifice time, effort to to invest into that, well, you're gonna have to. Hopefully, you're gonna have to enjoy the process on that.
We had a guest just a few weeks ago. I think it's great in connection with this idea is that if you don't enjoy the process, there's this idea that I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to go to work and I've got to absolutely love and be passionate about every moment of it. And I thought what he said was interesting. He said it's not that you should be passionate about your work. It's that you should have meaning in your work. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing something, it doesn't matter if it's the coffee shop that he described and the girl that was selling him his coffee or not, or if you're a Fortune 500 CEO, there's a lot about life that's not fun, but you've got to, at the end of the day, go, what is the meaning of the work that I'm doing? What is the difference that I'm making? And whether it's small or big, that's how you buy into the process, right? That's as a leader, that's how you go grow a business. And part of it's patience too. So you've got to enjoy the process because growing a business and growing a successful business, it just doesn't happen very fast. You have some control over it, but some of it you don't. Right. So you got to get up and do what? The 1% every day, and then look up 4 or 5 years down the road and go, wow, I did something. Look at this. I might make a success of myself. So very interesting.
Right. And that's something that we talk about with our families is what's this all about? What is so important about what you're wanting to do? What is important about this to you? Mm-hmm. What are your core values? And whenever you can peel back that onion, there's going to be stuff that you don't want to do. But if you have that meaning, like you said, well, then it makes it a lot easier to maybe digest some of the stuff that you don't want to do.
That's right. It's like anybody can do the administrative part of the work that we do.
Right.
Whether it's simple or complex. But the reality of it is that very few people ever get to that administrative work or bring meaning to the administrative work because they never really heard or listened to what was important to the families that they work with. What is really ultimately what makes them tick? Mm-hmm. And how do we get them from where they are to where they want to be, right?
Right.
So great stuff. So I think that's a nice segue, Kyle, into talking a little bit about your role as a family officer. And I know being a fellow family officer and partner with you at Carrington Group, we all have a different perspective of the work that we do for the families that we serve. But I'd love to hear, what are you passionate about on a daily basis, and how are you making a difference in the lives of the families that you serve?
What I'm most passionate about and what I get to do every single day is you can truly see what you're doing for these families on a smaller scale, but when you tie that to meaning, the positive impact you're having on their lives. Mm-hmm. And you're alleviating the stress and the uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And what do we do and why do we do it? You can relieve them of that so they can spend their time on what's important, what's making them successful, what they have fun, enjoying life, being present with their family, making it okay. Now they know it's okay to be there, that they don't have to invest all themselves somewhere else when that's not what's important to them. That might be the engine that's going to get them there, but that's not what's important. This is what's important. And if we can handle all of this for them, their life drastically changes. And getting to see them do that and getting to be a part of that, it's awesome. It's incredible.
I have people just in conversation often look at me funny when I say every single solitary family that I'm have the honor to serve and take care of, they're all smarter than me. Way, way, way smarter than me. But the reality of it is that they rely on us to be that gatekeeper, to be that advocate for them, to be that team that comes around them and helps drive the process so that, as Kyle's talking about, they can focus on the things that are really important to them, like fun, trips, and taking care of their families and spending quality and real time with their families. Not we talk about being present, showing up at home at night and doing the bare minimum is not being present in front of your family. It's really soaking in and having that quality time with them. So I just think it's interesting and that we're in this role where no, we're not the smartest guy in the room, and we don't want to be. It's our job to just quarterback or direct this team to take care of these folks and to give them the highest probability of going where they want to go. And oftentimes, and Kyle Kyle, you can maybe share a little bit of this. We learn a lot from the families that we work with. They bring interesting ideas to the table, and then guess what? We get to come alongside them and help bring that alive, to make that come true, whatever it is that they want to, that they're describing or that they want to do. Is that something that you can relate to?
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I found too is there seems, or a lot of the families we engaged, they don't know the finish line. They're running a race. How hard, how fast do they need to run? They don't know. I mean, it's just, full throttle wide open, sprint as hard as you can, whenever you can't appreciate all the good things that are happening around you. And so whenever things that do come up, maybe it's another business opportunity, or when do I exit this business? Well, why do I need that? Do this? Does it make sense here and there? We can peel all that back. It's like, well, if these are the things that you want to do in life, and here's why these are important to you, can we do that now? Or what else do we need to do so you can do that? Remove everything else off the table. Yeah, this thing over here sounds great. This sounds sexy. This sounds fun. But at the end of it, this is what you said is important to you. Can we do these things?
Kyle, describe quickly as we wrap up the show. If somebody's listening to this and this resonates, and you go, "That's me. That's the team that I need." What is the first step for them to be able to gain access to those types of services, and how does the process work for them to get engaged?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing that we do with potential families that we serve is what we call the bridge conversation, and where they come in and we have quiet time. So, husband, wife, spouses, significant others, they come in, and it's the first chance for them to really get quiet and to talk about what's truly important to each one of them, and how that fits together in their relationship, and where they're at right now, and what are the things that they want to do, and what are the things that they want to achieve in life. And what we have found is I can say that I'm probably guilty as well until we did the bridge, my wife and I, is those conversations, the busyness of life, it just doesn't happen. And it's a chance for them to sit still for an hour, hour and a half, and talk about what's truly important to them in life.
And just to gain that clarity and perspective.
Right.
And to be in an environment where it's safe to do it. That's one of the cool things we get to do, is just be a facilitator. Put them in an environment behind a closed door where you turn off your cell phones, and you turn off the noise, and you turn off life, and have a conversation, as Kyle's describing, that they just rarely ever have. And then from there, then you have the opportunity to explore whether or not Carrington and what we're doing for families is a fit. So I think it's a really neat thing, and it's a gift that we get to give so many people.
Absolutely.
Well, and so many people would love to have that kind of service, but didn't know that it was available to them. And so what the Carrington Group is doing is bringing that kind of quality service to more and more successful business leaders and their families to help them experience that. I love what you guys do. And obviously the Carrington Group's present on the web and Facebook, and people can learn a little bit more. So Kyle, thanks for sharing your journey and your story. It's fascinating, and to be a part of the journey with you guys. It's just a great podcast we get to do every week, and also to see what the services you guys are providing just inspires as well.
So. Ton of fun. Really enjoying doing this with you guys, and glad we finally got part 3 in with Kyle today.
Well, the other thing is we didn't have to put up with any crazy TCU stories. From
I know, right?
Gosh. I mean, we just
somehow this show always has to lead into some sort of football turmoil,
it's just but then our crazy OU stories crazier than TCU stories, and it's all crazy.
Some of those are interwoven.
That's right. But hey, we got a little wrap up we got to do, Tyler. So you introduced us to some interesting legendary leaders.
Yeah, so the billionaire we were talking about who's contemplating a run for presidency is the former CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz. 60-minute special on him the other night. Very interesting perspective. So we'll see how that all lines out over the next year and a half or so. One thing we did want to mention to our listeners out there that we thought might be neat is if you have somebody that you want to nominate to be a legend on our show and to come on our weekly show to be interviewed, we'd love to hear from you. You can either private message us through our Facebook page, or you can also message us through our chat section online today. We're also really excited over the next several weeks as we're preparing a journey where we're going to get to hear from, I think, some pretty fascinating leaders and legends here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that are a part of the fastest growing firms, according to the Dallas Business Journal. So the top 100 fastest growing firms. We're going to begin the process of interviewing those CEOs beginning next week. So really excited about that and the knowledge and wisdom that we're going to get to learn from those folks. So look forward to everybody tuning in for that and having an opportunity to learn from these great leaders.
Well, thanks, Tyler. It is an exciting future we have in the little podcast we do here. So thanks for being a part of the audience today, and that'll be a wrap for our podcast. So in behalf of Tyler Tallman and our special guest and co-host, Kyle Watkins, I just want to close today and wish everybody a great day. And remember this, that if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a leader.
Legends in Leadership is brought to you by the Carrington Group. Carrington Group is a family office with a passion for helping business leaders and their families make smart choices and fulfill their highest aspirations. To learn more about the Carrington Group, visit their website at www.carringtonfo.com or Google Carrington Group Dallas, Texas. ISF is committed to leadership development for aged-out foster care and orphaned youth. ISF's mission is to transform these youth into tomorrow's leaders with scholarships, mentoring, and leadership training. To learn more about ISF, visit their website at isfsite.org or Google International Student Foundation to learn more.
Securities offered through Regulus Advisors, LLC. Member FINRA/SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Regal Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Regulus Advisors and Regal Investment Advisors are affiliated entities. Carrington Group and this broadcast are independent of Regulus Advisors and Regal Investment Advisors.